I'm just asking you. You're a good guy. I voted for you. I know you're a nice guy. This is important.
You need to leave.
Here, can I give you a phone?
So I asked him a question.
Yo, he just assaulted him.
Professor and lawyer Dan Kovalik was kicked out of an event featuring Senator John Fetterman after asking him about his unwavering support for Israel, despite the ongoing war in the Gaza Strip, which has overwhelmingly killed Palestinian civilians as opposed to Hamas militants. Now, we've been clear about how we feel toward Hamas. We have been clear in how disgusted we were by that terrorist attack. I do believe that Israel has the right to defend itself. I do not believe Israel has the right to engage in the ethnic cleansing that they're currently engaging in. And it turns out Dan Kovalik agrees with me on that and wanted to ask John Fetterman about it. Now, prior to the moment that you just watched, Kovalik told Fetterman the following. In the video, Kovalik, who taught at the University of Pittsburgh School of Law until his contract expired in June, asked the Democrat why he doesn't support a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. After an off-camera person appeared to attempt to stop Kovalik from asking such questions, Kovalik said, quote, "I can talk to him," meaning Fetterman. "I voted for him. I'm sorry, this is a democracy." And then he also said, sort of. Now, he also said 10,000 people in Gaza have been killed, half are children. The Pope is calling for a ceasefire. The UN is calling for it. I'm just asking you, you're a good guy. I voted for you. I know you're a nice guy. Well, not nice enough to actually really hear him out or even answer what Kovalik had to say, because as you saw in the video, he was immediately kicked out of the area, of the room, pretty viciously, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I saw the whole video. He didn't say anything wrong. He just asked him the simplest question in the world. Here, John Fetterman, I'm asking you, are you for a ceasefire or not? It's the most basic question in this conversation. Well, you're not even willing to answer that? What happened? I thought you were a populist. I thought you were a man of the people. What's going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. And so this is the part of the story that you won't hear anywhere else. But I know because of progressive politics and what happened in the primaries. So in the primaries, Democratic Majority for Israel and AIPAC targeted every progressive. And they spent $4 million against Nina Turner, for example. And they spent millions of dollars against Andy Levin, who's a very strong supporter of Israel. But he dared to say that he was in favor of a two-state solution, which I thought was the official American position, right? And he comes from a legendary Jewish family in Michigan. And no, Democratic Majority for Israel spent millions against them because he didn't say that he would just do whatever Israel says, right? Levin deserves all the credit in the world. What a hero, what an American hero, okay? But every person in Democratic politics got the memo. If you oppose any Israeli position, doesn't matter if it's left wing or right wing, no nuance here. It doesn't matter how many Palestinians get killed, nothing matters. We will spend millions of dollars against you. And then, by the way, when Ilhan Omar pointed this out, they did a censure of her. How dare you point out that lobbyists have millions of dollars and spend it? Well, that's a fact. Anyone who says it's not a fact is completely ignorant and doesn't understand politics. So there was a moment in Fetterman's campaign for the Senate where people realized, oh, Fetterman's never said anything about Israel. So, and he's supposed to be a progressive and a populist. So it was a moment where political figures like myself who look at this stuff behind the scenes, we were waiting in anticipation. What is he going to do? Is he going to be a tough guy and oppose them, or he's going to say, I will bow to whatever this foreign government wants? And he came out with a statement saying that he would bow.
That's right.
And he said, I will support Israel basically no matter what. And so this is him now bowing his head again. So look, guys, this is why politicians break our hearts. This is why there's so little hope left in the country. Fetterman was supposed to be the one guy who's populist and progressive, but he did a political calculation and now he won't even answer the question. So I don't know what's in his heart. I don't know if he thinks, well, it is really brutal how they're killing the Palestinians. On the other hand, I made a political calculation that I didn't want those lobbyists spending money against me. So, hey, my campaigns and my career are more important than those lives. Or if he thinks, I don't care about Palestinian lives at all. But that ain't a progressive position and it ain't a populist position. So if you're gonna be any standard old politician and just give in to everything lobbyists want, please stop pretending, put on a suit. Enough with your stupid sweater and shorts if you're gonna act like all the other politicians.
100%, couldn't agree more. Now, he did put out a statement following Hamas's attack on Israel and Israel's response on that attack. Here's what he had to say. Innocent Israelis were the victims of a terrorist attack that resulted in the largest loss of Jewish lives since the Holocaust. Now we know that the tragedy at the Gaza hospital was not caused by Israel.
How about the 10,000 other bombs?
Hold on. First of all, that is still not confirmed. So, by the way, when we covered that story, we made clear it is not confirmed, okay? And we will continue saying that until we have an independent party confirming without a shadow of a doubt that it was one side or the other that bombed that hospital. What we do know is Israel, you're correct, has bombed not only other hospitals, but that very hospital a few days prior to the bombing that made headlines. Okay, so the idea that the IDF doesn't bomb hospitals is laughable and a complete and utter lie. So the fact that Fetterman basically made a declarative statement about who was responsible for that hospital bombing and isn't getting any backlash for it is really fascinating to me. Because look, justifiably, the media got a lot of backlash for initially reporting that it was the IDF without confirmation. Why does Fetterman, a United States senator, get to make this declarative statement? It is a lie, it is not confirmed. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah, but much more importantly, it's a distraction. Because at this point, Channel 4 has done a video showing that it might have been IDF, Channel 4 in UK. BBC and others have done interesting videos showing that it probably was not the IDF. I think at this point, it is likely that it was not the IDF. But I'm not perfectly sure, right? But guys, everybody's now using that as an excuse, as if Israel didn't do any bombings in Gaza. So what if one out of thousands and thousands and thousands of bombs that they dropped on ambulances, hospitals, schools, residential buildings, one of them wasn't IDF? What difference does that make? So it's important to get the facts right. But when the only statement you put out is, I don't even believe that there was a bombing of the hospital. It makes it sound like you're saying, I don't believe there was any bombings. Would you like us to roll the tape again on Gaza or what is left of Gaza? I mean, it's absurd. Listen, this is the old school stuff that where American media and American politicians would come out and they would just lie to you straight to your face and go, no, Israel's, they don't target civilians at all. Never, never. Every time the thousands and thousands and thousands of Palestinian civilians killed were all collateral damage and human shields and Hamas's fault, and Israel's never at fault for anything, right? Those are the bad old days. That crap isn't gonna fly anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah, and so the idea that, okay, IDF didn't do that hospital, so they didn't do anything? No, 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 we have eyes, we have ears. And we're used to this crap from normal standard politicians. Fetterman, if you're gonna be a standard corrupt politician, put on a goddamn suit so that we know which uniform you have on, okay? Don't pretend to be one of us.
So I agree with the next part of his statement, okay? But after I read the full statement, you'll understand why I disagree with him. So this part I agree with. He says, I grieve for every innocent person and brave Israeli soldier killed since Hamas started this war. If not for the horrific attacks by Hamas terrorists, thousands of innocent Israelis and Palestinians would still be alive today. So what about the innocent Palestinian civilians who have died as a result of the indiscriminate airstrikes? Because I grieve for Israeli civilians, just as any normal person would grieve for the Palestinian civilians. I mean, the moral clarity here should be shared by everyone, but unfortunately it's not. Because some, like Fetterman apparently, like to dehumanize the civilians on one side while talking about the tragedy of the loss of life of Israeli civilians on the other side. And then he says, now is not the time to talk about a ceasefire. We must support Israel in their efforts to eliminate the Hamas terrorists who slaughtered innocent men, women, and children. Hamas does not want peace. They want to destroy Israel. We can talk about a ceasefire after Hamas is neutralized.
What insanity.
So
this guy's totally useless. Senator Netanyahu, Fetterman called and would like his body back. What is this? There's not one iota of caring about Palestinian lives. Any Republican could have said that. Any corporate Democrat could have said that. I mean, that sounds like almost all of his quotes sound like they're identical to Netanyahu and his far right-wing government in Israel. What part of this is progressive? Fetterman, please go away. Jesus Christ, how many times do these politicians have to break our hearts?
Finally, 16 ex-campaign staffers have put out a letter in response to Fetterman's public statements on this war. And here's what they had to say. They're known as the Fetterman Alumni for Peace. Watching the United States military apparatus beat the drum for war, promising the Israeli government unconditional weapons support, a blank check for more destruction that will lead to the killing of more innocent Israelis and Palestinians, including children, has been heart-wrenching. Watching you lead that charge has felt like a gutting betrayal. These are not the values that we believed you to hold, and these are not our values.
Yeah, all of a sudden Fetterman can't find a way to speak. Before he was going out of his way, no, I'm fine. But all of a sudden the cat's got his tongue. Okay, so look, here, I'll do a prediction for you guys. The reason we do predictions is so you know what actually motivates things behind the scenes. So, we don't do mainstream media crap and tell you, oh, these just have ideas and ideologies and points of view. No, my prediction is Fetterman turns around on this. Why? Because he's gonna bleed out voters. All the Democrats that are now being warmongers are losing massive support, okay? In America, It's a new day. And you kiss all of your young voters goodbye. Because young voters across the board, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, atheist, it doesn't matter. They're all against this bloody war, okay? So after Fetterman sees his numbers bleed out, he'll care a lot more about that than he does about Palestinian lives. But he'll turn around and then he'll pretend to be a progressive again. You know why? Because these guys, they only care about themselves. So thanks for breaking our heart on the last guy we had hope on. We appreciated John Fetterman for proving that all politicians are just beholden to the donors and the lobbyists and the military industrial complex and the oil companies, etc. Go start another war for them, Fetterman. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate it. I guarantee you he turns around and it'll be completely disingenuous. Oh, look at my poll numbers. Oh, okay, I meant Palestinians' lives might matter too. Yeah, I noticed you being a warmonger here. Populist progressive, my ass. Go take your acting classes somewhere else, okay? And Professor Kovalik, thank you for being an American hero. That was a great question, and every senator should be asked that. By the way, Bernie Sanders, again, put out a statement acknowledging that Palestinian lives matter, and we appreciate it. Senator Sanders, as usual, he's been the best senator on this. But having said that, he also didn't call for a ceasefire. And he should also be asked, are you in favor of a ceasefire, or are you with the warmongers now, who's gonna drive both Palestinians and Israel into greater and greater danger through endless stupid wars that the defense contractors here in America profit off of? And if you guys aren't going to be progressives, please stop pretending and go to Hollywood or something. Just be the cheesy actors that you want to be. Hey, thanks for watching that video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members, because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. And all of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us, become a Young Turk.